At first, we'll be fine. You're gonna vote first, so you know, it's got there, it'll be fine.
Yep, Friday.
Well, they're officially starting it now.
Yep.
Maybe go down towards Clement.
They could start it. Over here. So I wondered.
Because I just really want to sit in my chair and I don't want to sit, be the only person in the back row.
Well, also the thing's gonna be on this, so then you can.
Oregon, like, you never know.
Oh,
When I was.
Your
am I gonna be in the way of the?
No.
I'm supposed to read.
It's on the camera's up there. Yeah. You probably won't even.
That's all right.
I ate four months of stuff. Holy cow.
Before
They're
ODS
yummy,
sent them
though.
home. 'Cause once you're there, ODS has you, like you can't leave. But like if you're on site, even if you're a volunteer, they have you until they decide to release you.
That's nice.
What is that all about?
It's crazy. So like
Welcome to
Spencer and
bed.
Travis were there till after midnight on that fire the other night.
That really speaks to like, let's volunteer, answer the phone, right? Yeah.
Did Bob take off?
He may have.
Yeah.
I think he did. Yeah.
Okay, so now we'll go back into regular session and start with consent motions 4.1 through. For.
Got a quick question. And have we given the oath to our new board member?
She had, oh, I thought she had.
No, you.
She's gonna get it here in a second.
Good catch,
Okay.
right?
Sign your life away. So consent motions 4.1 to 4.4 with the addition of Emily Murray or Avery to be an elementary school teacher.
I approved the minutes of 4.1 and 4.2. 4.3 needs a correction because it was my mistake.
I got the correct, but I did already get the correct.
Did you get it?
from her. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So a motion to approve
Motion to
4.1 to
approve.
4.4 with edits.
Second.
Simon. Any other questions or debate on 4.1 through 4.4? Hearing none, we will start with Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yes,
I vote yes as well. Ms. Smith.
Yes.
Reports 5.1, Mr. Stone.
Oh, boy.
Oh, for what? Do the vote? Do you vote? Mr. Rose, you vote yes as well. All in favor? Easily forgettable. We have a new.
Yeah, it's all right.
You stole me forward.
Now we'll move on to 5.1, Mr. Stone.
Well, I kind of have a little bit of a short report tonight, but I wanted to share a couple of changes. We're gonna try to tackle summer school, the academic summer school. I think I mentioned part of this in my report last month, but I wanted to just solidify it. The academic summer school is going to be the week of June 8th through the 12th, which includes Fridays. So instead of 4 weeks, we're going to go 3 weeks, 5 days a week, 8 to noon, and it'll start June 8th through the 12th. And then we'll have a second week of it, June 15th through the 19th. And then we'll take a week off because of Camp Invention Summer School that week. It's an enrichment summer school that we don't want to omit the academic kids from that need extra supports from that. So, and then we'll come back June 29th through July 3rd, which it'll be interesting to see how many people show up July 3rd. But trying to be intentional and communicating with parents. We're gonna roll out a communication plan to ensure that they know what the dates are, and we're in the process of hiring a couple of assistants and a couple of teachers, actually 3 teachers. There'll be a middle school teacher that will do it's not really credit acquisition, but grade acquisition for any student that fails second semester in a core class. So if you remember, we have board policy on that, and that if a student fails a core class in the middle school, then they have to come to summer school. And if they don't show up to summer school, then the SST team meets about placement for that kid. And so we'll communicate all that individually with every parent that affects every kid and their parent concerning that. So we don't think the numbers are going to be too high. Our middle school teachers are doing a good job getting kids over the hump, but I'm sure there'll be a few that will end up having to pull in. So we're going to use early literacy, so piggyback off of some early literacy dollars to help with busing. We're on straight line routes where parents can drop their kids off to jump on a bus and come to summer school, which is really helpful for families.
Do you have an estimated number of kids who may be in summer school sessions?
In the elementary, there's probably going to be about 23 or 24, somewhere in that number. And there'll be 2 groups. There'll be a primary group that will probably have like 10 to 12, and then there'll be an upper elementary group that'll have 10 to 12. So I think the last numbers, I think Marcia told me last week that she thought there was going to be about 22 to 24, somewhere in there.
Those mandatory or that want to get extra learning?
They're kids that just are academically behind that we want to try to fill some gaps on. And if we have room, there'll be some other kids, maybe that if they have a sibling that comes and the parent wants their other kid to go as well, to accommodate that parent. Sometimes we'll accommodate if our numbers are low. Obviously, elementary is not mandatory. We're just trying to convince parents that there's real value here, and it'll be literacy based. It'll be an extension of what we've done during the year with HMH and structured literacy and the science of reading. So it'll be it'll be different, but it'll be along the same lines of instruction that they get here. So PD update. I know Greg will probably hit on this, but this Friday we have 2 high quality people that are coming in to present on professional development. I'll let Greg talk a little more about that. Tomorrow, if you're available, the Valsal luncheon is at Ken and Carol Newcomb's house. It's a day where we just take a moment to take a deep breath and recognize the success of a couple of kiddos that are valedictorian and salutatorian. We present their medals to them and we celebrate with their families and recognize that their effort is amazing. So if you're available to come, please do. I know there's been things on the loudspeaker and there's been stuff that's been posted to social media, but I think I just want to recognize our archery club for the effort. 4 years ago when we started talking about starting an archery club, we knew that it was going to be a heavy lift and it was going to have to come from the community to pull that off and to build something great. And I think the archery club is a prime example of taking something from nothing and developing it into something. And for the number of kids that went to nationals, and we had 3 kids that shot better than they've ever shot on that stage, is really truly something special. Let me tell you how special that is. We had a kid when I was a principal at Hidden Valley, a girl that was a national champion, 2-time national champion in her class. And she won it her junior year and her senior year. And that girl was homeless as a freshman. She was living in her car with her brother, her older brother. And she was not connected to anything. She was trying to find reason to exist, really, and didn't come to school, was not engaged in any of the other activities that we had at school. And our art teacher there, Ben Bickel, he was our archery club advisor, and he is just a kid magnet, and he pulled her in. And because she took an art class with him and she just plugged, she's like, man, I've never shot a bow before until her freshman year in high school. And he took her under the wing and she graduated, a two-time national champion, the only national champion female archer in the state of Oregon in the history. And so the case in point is that archery doesn't always fit inside the traditional means of activities, but it is extremely valuable for kids with to learn concentration and discipline and find something that they enjoy to do that's a lifelong activity. And so I just want to give preps and props to Zach Snyder. He's outside of the school system and he doesn't understand a lot of things that go with processes and things because he's new. But I'll tell you what, him and his group of parents and community members that have brought that program along is an example for all of our extracurricular activities here in Prospect. And if there's one, there's several things that I kind of like to hang my hat on that we started during my tenure here, and that's one of them. And so it's going to be fun and exciting to see that develop and continue to develop over the years, because I think it's really good for our community and for our kids. So I was going to mention track. I won't mention track because you guys know where we're at. And then the last thing is I just wanted to bring attention to the 21st, our carnival and our jogathon. Regina has done a good job organizing that and pulling all that together. K-12 with community partners, with our school, with our high school, our middle school teachers and our elementary teachers, offering something that's unique at the end of the year that will be fun. Last year it was a kind of a conglomerate, the first time that we had ever combined the two things, and it was a hoot. And I think this year will even be better and bigger. So props to you and your team, Regina, in trying to pull that together. So
What time does it start?
2:00. It's
Yeah.
just the last couple hours of the afternoon.
yeah. And there's ice cream, so bring your dollar bills for your children.
Jogging.
So, yeah, and we got t-shirts, we got new t-shirts for every kid. So all the Jogathon kids have new t-shirts, so that's all I have.
Very cool. Middle school, high school principal report, Mr. Bryant. What I report in on?
I don't know. You can report.
Oh, we're talking
PD.
about professional
PD.
development, and then I'll talk about gear up
Gear up.
around. We've been working with Laura Miltenberger, Tanya Frisman, mostly Laura Miltenberger and Patrick Kelly, some folks on professional development. We're gonna wrap up the year in instruction. It will be we've been doing a book study on scaffolding, which is basically giving students access to grade level content through either if they lack the vocabulary, it's giving them vocabulary to access it. So Laura's gonna wrap up the book study on that, which has been pretty helpful. Some people have caught on fire with it, some people are a little bit slower to process and do a good job and make it their own. So we're wrapping that up for a half a day. The other half of the day, we've spent a long time with talking back and forth with Patrick on how fast or how slow or to roll this out with classroom management. And so one of the things that we're doing in preparation for next year, this year at the end of the year, is we're going to facilitate effective classroom management planning. So teachers will have an opportunity to find common routines, common expectations, and responses and follow-ups that are in common to those, but also have the autonomy to create their own classroom culture with students. So that'll be something that we collaborate on Friday this week in the afternoon with the secondary. So that's that PD. And then we have them one more day for follow-up and adjustment October next year. The next thing, I'm not gonna read all of the data or anything like that to you. I'll go over this form that I passed out to board members. There's every year, I mean, Natalie knows this, Gear Up meets in the springtime to look forward, and backwards and then forwards again, to plan for, the coming years. Based on survey data and feedback that, we and they get, the planning retreat this year was in Eugene. I thought that this was one of the most well thought out, well structured planning retreats that I've ever attended. Everything was dialed in and so efficient. And Fawn, Janet, and I had an opportunity to sit down for a couple of days and comb through all of this data, all of this feedback, and look at some of our plans and our 3 focus areas and make some adjustments. So I'll go over the 3 focus areas, and beneath those on this front page in the top of the table is some of the data and some of the things that informed what our focus areas would be and what some of our actions. So if you look down under academic preparation in the center there, those are some of our the actions that we're talking about and discussing. We're still in a planning and approval phase and adjustment phase, but this is what it would look like. So we're in focus area 1, we're planning for increase opportunities for expanded options. We've tried some things like pre-calculus and things like that up here in advanced classes, and we've looked forward into the future on whether or not we can afford, we have the capacity to do like AP classes. And what we decided is that we're going to put some effort while we have gear up into our expanded options and opportunities for kids. And so I'll explain what that looks like. We've also looked at math. We've been doing math through expanded options, and we're looking at data on how successful students were at RCC versus how successful the students who took it here were. And we're gonna evaluate and move forward based on where the students did better. I think here where they have a better pace, it is a better option for them, and we have the staff to facilitate that. Focus area 2 is clarity for students. This is something that's come out of a lot of feedback, a lot of observation, a lot of reflection for us was clarity for students and staff, showing them what success looks like, what rigor is, setting students and staff up for academic success. Where can we use our resources to do a better job of that, based on the information we got below. And then state testing, students understanding the purpose and value of state testing. One of the things that I've done this week prior to state testing kicking off in classrooms has been discussing the value of students showing us what they're made of, taking their time on the test, whether they know the content or the information or not, giving us an accurate assessment of what they know, and explaining to them why it's important for that we as adults here at the school can do a better job for you as students if we have that accurate information. And then creating checkpoints for purpose and growth towards goals and careers, starting with 6th graders. So what that looks like under academic preparation, some things we discussed, some strategies. This is what they are. One-on-one meetings with parents who are interested in their students taking expanded options. So creating formal checkpoints for that, like during open house and conferences. So letting people know that these things are out there and they exist, trying to fit those into the expanded options deadlines that are in our policies. Make sure there's nothing wrong with that. Under focus area number 2, advisory activities. Something I've talked a lot about all year, and it's easier said than done. It takes some time to sit down and do it, but the activities that we're going to do in advisory next year will be directly related to some of the AVID strategies in college and career content that we have. We didn't cover a lot this year, but next year when we have advisory, we will do that. Some of the things in advisory class will how to be a student. We'll offer time, dedicated time for tutoring. Then we are going to go with, instead of conferences, meeting with parents, we discussed planning student-led conferences where students create a Google site early on in their middle school years, 6th, 7th grade, and that Google site gets updated and compiled as they move through high school. So all of their goals, all of the pathways towards those things will be included in that. And then we talked a lot about mentorship programs where instead of an adult, and I'll touch on this again, standing in front of a classroom full of kids trying to explain the value of something, we want kids who have already gone through the process to stand in front of the kids and explain the value to them. underneath focus area 3, that where we're talking about state testing and giving it value and purpose. One of the things that I've done in past schools is create some incentive that's kind of what I consider a legacy incentive. So that we kind of joked around. I was like, we at another school we gave purple tassels. Well, who wants a purple tassel? Like purple is so we discussed, hey, tie-dye tassels. Right here, I kind of put down camouflage tassels for where we're at. Just so some incentive of like, hey, I want to meet some of my I just lost the word for it. Anyways, some type of legacy honor for meeting your essential skills, right? Some motivation, something that you can point to and say, hey, I earned this because I did this. Guest speakers, like I said before about students, bringing adults in is a great thing, but if we can bring recent alumni back who have had success in finding their purpose, that's something that we would like to pursue. Probably would be cost effective and more meaningful to the students. Another piece under the second focus area and awareness was creating monthly newsletters. We were discussing whether or not to have include parents in attending college and industry tours. We talked about cost effectiveness by combining sports trips with college and industry tours for students. If we're going to a place that has an opportunity for us to look at something like a college or an industry tour, we would do that. And then more possibilities for family community communications. Under focus area 3, under awareness, is we're creating an advisory structure that's considerate of age appropriate concepts. So breaking down purpose from the very end goal of what you want to be when you grow up to a pathway to get there with specific checkpoints and things that you can start doing as a 6th or an 8th grader, as an 8th or a 10th grader, because there was a discussion earlier in the week or in the month about if you want to go to an academy of some kind, like a military academy, you have to start early. If you plan on being a Division I basketball player at Duke or somewhere, you have to start working towards that in the 8th grade. So that's something that we've talked a lot about in our student success meetings. And then under aspirations, using advisory to facilitate that, educating students really early on and continuing to beat the drum on college isn't academic college necessarily. It's the trades, it's the military, it's the higher purpose in your life that creates a quality of life. And then again, more exposure to pathways to students who do that, and more exposure to students who have had success that are from here or that are relatable to our students. We're going to continue under aspirations to coach the purpose through advisory, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and then under number 3, we're going to educate students about online education opportunities, apprenticeships, and local jobs. So year 5 of Garrett planning, the sustainability, start planning sustainability of all these resources and all these systems we create for the end year after themselves. Any questions?
I have some comments.
Okay.
If no one has questions,
I have a question back, I like your comment.
I might be a minute.
Okay.
Okay, so, something got brought to my attention from my own kid, and I wanted to bring it to the board because it does directly, to our school and to Gear Up and to some of the things that are in kind of our goals and whatnot for academic preparation. So, I'm an advocate for Gear Up and I love everything that it does. The surveys that go out, are pretty consistent. That right now it said on this page that 35% of students who agree that we prepare them for college classes. So my daughter doesn't go to the school anymore. She goes to Logos. She's in college. She's still in high school. So she's in all college classes. Taking a biology class, which is the most basic college biology class that you can take. She cannot understand anything of it. And she didn't learn her 2 years here in high school, she didn't learn any of the terms. The periodic table wasn't presented to her in her classroom. The things that she needed to know foundationally for this class were not taught here. And so she's been struggling. She's had to get tutors. And she's just trying really hard to pass that class because it's required for degrees, right? So basic biology. So I am concerned about the preparation for the classes that they're gonna take in college are not equivalent to what they're taking here. And if they're not being held to an accountability standard of studying for a test, taking the test, turning in assignments on time, being accountable to their teachers and making sure that they're showing up in class, like all those things is what makes them successful in college. They're not going to be able to do in college because they're not being held accountable here, or they're just not being provided what they need to be successful once they get to college. I do know a few college students who dropped out their first year because it was hard. So the seniors that have graduated from here went off to college and then dropped out because it's just so hard. They just didn't understand how hard it was going to be. They were going to be expected to write papers and actually turn them in. They were going to be expected to read books and actually report on them. They were going to be expected to take tests and actually pass the test. Like all those things that college is about, they just didn't have that perception here because I understand we were triaging a lot. We were trying to do, post-COVID, making sure kids were staying on track, but we at some point need to make sure that we are still instilling some skills in them so that when they do go to college, it doesn't seem so hard. It just seems maybe a little challenging. So whatever we need to do with Gear Up, Trio, with the advisory, just something to keep them accountable to their own education, because college is extremely difficult and it's even harder if they don't embody the skills to show up in class on time, and write a paper and know their periodic table. Like those kinds of things are just essential. And so just understanding that from a student's perspective, not mine, that came from directly from a student. She was upset. And so I'm just voicing it because I feel like that's something we need to address. There are probably students here that are going to be super successful because they're driven, that are self-driven. But then there's some that we push into college, right, Steph? We want them to go because we think that they're capable. We know that they're capable and we say, go, go, go. And they go, they get there and they take their first few classes and they drop out because it's so hard and they're required to be accountable. So we just need to address that because it is a real concern.
Can I make a couple comments to that? Yeah, first of all, I appreciate the courage to state, to put that out there. In 4 years here, we could not hire a highly qualified science teacher. They didn't exist. We had nobody here that would take jobs. So then we triage some positions, as you all know, to try to fill positions and fill them out. And every year it's gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. Better towards being working towards licensure, and now we're at a place where we take the next step. But the one piece that stands out to me that you brought up is that when I'll just speak from my own experience. I was a terrible student in high school. Terrible. Graduated with a 2.8, taking 4 and 5 classes, 2 required classes my senior year. And I didn't realize myself how important it was to prepare myself prior to, I thought I was going to be a college student, and I went to college and I realized real quick, probably not a college student. So then I went to work for a year and a half and I realized, you know what, I want to go back to college. And so there are tons of studies out there that talk about, student readiness. And you know what the number one skill is for college readiness is? Problem solving. Because you become an adult. And sometimes when we take students that are a sophomore, junior in high school, and we place them in a rigorous environment with 21-year-olds or 19-year-olds, they struggle. And they struggle on twofold. It might be because they have lack of skills or maybe lack of access to certain college level content. That might be valid. But the number one thing that most of the time that they struggle with is problem solving, because they're 16, 17 years old and not 18, 19 to 21, 22. And I know when I went back, I took a year off. And when I went back, I had a different mindset than I did when I was 18, trying to go to school. And we continue to push this downward of saying, hey, you're a college bound student, you need to be taking dual credit in high school. And that's gonna help with your pathway when you get out. And for some students, it does. Your daughter's extremely bright. She'll figure it out. And it will be with some struggles, no doubt. But the system that we have here in Prospect, quite frankly, you're an anomaly. Because of many of our parents struggle to teach resiliency. And our kids that attempt to go to school struggle with resiliency. Resiliency to get out of bed, show up on time. Resiliency to brush their teeth. Resiliency to show up for a job and actually go and work and stay employed while they're going to school. There's tons and tons of examples of it. And so we're talking about the 5 to 10% of the upper end of our kids here that have parental supports that have taught that. That falls on the backs of the school district. I talked about it today at the Ford Family Foundation. Resiliency and purpose are two of the huge things that have to happen in the school system to get kids to where they want to go. First of all, if they don't find purpose and it's not to find something outside the school, then they just palms up, I don't care, it doesn't matter. And for kids that don't have those resiliency skills, they give up and they quit first time something gets hard. And so the school system has to address that. The problem is systematically it takes time to do that. And so it doesn't diminish anything that you said. I'm not making an excuse for anything. I just say that this is a challenge that as a community that we all have here. And it's not just the school system, it's the school system plus the community, plus the parenting, plus whatever social services that we pull in to help kids like Project Youth Plus and the Gear Up opportunities and people that are holding kids accountable one-on-one, trying to get them to the next level of whatever it is that they want to pursue. But it's not a refined science here. I would say it's not a refined science in any high school really. And we're probably behind the curve here, some just because we have had to triage positions, highly qualified status, and some of those things have contributed greatly to maybe some of that frustration that Lily has experienced. But she's going to learn through problem solving and overcoming because she's tough and she's gritty and she'll figure it out. Your point's well taken.
Let me add a little bit to this discussion. You've created a monster when you start lowering the standards to which you hold your kids accountable. So if the school is giving pats on the back and blue ribbons to kids that are non-substantially ready and prepped for college, you're creating the monster that surprises them when they walk through those college doors for the true level of expectation that they should be having. You have made them believe that, oh, I'm the upper echelon, I am the smart kid in the group. Then they walk into a group where they're not the smart kid because they've been misled mentally that they are. That's a problem. And the fact that the state has lowered their standards and the fact that we've chimed in and lowered ours somewhat does not help them to understand that there's a real world out there that they've got to achieve in. They think they're doing good. They think they're doing great. And then they walk out to the real world and find out, no, I really wasn't doing great, but I was being patted on the back and given the blue ribbon anyway. That's a problem.
I think that exists somewhat for sure, Ray, but I don't think anybody intentionally has lowered any standards here. The reality is we're trying to get people to cross the finish line. And I'll give you an example. The diploma does not mean you are college or career ready. Period. It's a 24 credit diploma that states you finished something. It does not mean you're ready for a job. It does not mean you're ready for college. It never has been intended for that. And unfortunately, we have created that narrative as a state and as a country that somehow, if I graduate after 13 years of formal school, I'm ready for life. That's not always the case. How many people do you know that graduated that end up, for a lack of a better way of putting it, pumping gas for the rest of their life or stocking shelves in the local grocery store? Because their skills don't go beyond that. It's a basic level piece of paper that says you finish something after 13 years. And now you enter adulthood and you go to the next level of preparation of your life. That's why lifelong learning is so important. That's why problem solving is so important. Some of that of which you learn in school, some of that which you don't learn in school. You learn it when you go and get your first job and you have a rent payment or a truck payment and you got to work and show up to get a diploma. I mean, to get a paycheck. So, this is a huge conversation that goes beyond this, this moment in time, but, and you have some good points for sure, but I think where we go sideways real quick is when we think that the diploma somehow is an entry ticket to success in life, and it's not.
No, but if you're prepping kids in the 7th grade to be ready for what happens in the 8th grade, in the 8th grade prepping them for what is going to happen in the 9th grade, then when they are in the 12th grade, you should be prepping them for being a freshman in college. And I don't think we're quite there.
No, I agree.
All right, I'm gonna finish this up. I recognize and I see some things. I want to point out. One of the things that I notice about prospects, especially in the secondary, is there's a culture of get your work done, do some work, do something. Kids see that as a transaction because they don't know any better. If I'm getting this stuff done, then the heat's off of my back. And one of the things I noticed, which is the reason though I have Laura Milsberger coming in to help with professional development and Patrick Kelly coming in to help with classroom management, is to shore up some of these things where I see kids don't understand what rigorous work looks like. I taught a class today and the kids were doing level 1 rote knowledge things, and when I introduced analysis and inference, we struggled. And I got them over that hump, and then I introduced creativity, evaluation to them. We got over that hump today. That's why I brought them in. Is scaffolding is so important to, when you hear somebody say, "Well, these kids aren't reading at a 9th grade level, so I can't teach them 9th grade content." Yes, you can. You have to scaffold that to get them to that 9th grade level. I think the focus here for so long has been on get your work done and you're good. Get your work done and you're good. If you don't have the skill, we'll figure it out. But you're going to have to figure it out one day anyway. And that's why we're putting all this work into the professional development. That's why I sit down for hours with Laura and Patrick and decide what these teachers need so they can set them up to be successful. So in turn, they can set their kids up to be successful. That's their job, is kids' A's, not to trap them in traps of, hey, you didn't do your work today, so I'm going to give you 25 more assignments, teach you a lesson, things like that. It's my job to teach you. It's my job to check with you on where you're at today, so that the kids that I taught this afternoon in the science class didn't get the concept in the first step of what we were doing. I had a plan to make sure that they got it. That's training them to do those things, see those things. Classroom management is also part of that, of like, what is your structure? What is your routine? What is your level of predictability for students? So all these things are our responsibility to set these kids up to be successful, and that's what we're doing professional development for, and that's why we're pointing our focus area number 2 at clarity for students and clarity for staff. And what does success look like? What does scaffolding look like when you have a struggling student? What does differentiation look like? And are you ready to teach when you show up? Are you ready to get those kids first place in the track meet or top 3 in testing? So knowing what you're going to teach, knowing exactly what you're going to measure, and then coaching your kids in the classroom to meet that mark is really important. And I can talk about this for a long time, and I know it's late in the evening. I'm going to discuss it with anybody at any time if you want. I will share my observations and philosophies and all that.
I think a couple quick points on that. I think Natalie's right on it, and Ray's talked about it for some time. We do curriculum alignment, but where's our starting point at, right? Are we starting at freshman level and working south? Or are we starting kindergarten working north, and then wherever it ends up, right? So we're at a good transition point with the district where I think those valuable conversations. I like the idea, I think you said in here about potentially bringing parents into some of the tech or call it the private type stuff. That's huge, because I think kids can dream, but as soon as they leave here, their dream is here. It's not going anywhere, right? They don't have that push because we're at that socioeconomic type place where there's not a lot of like push off the nest, go do. So if we can inspire parents, I think that's huge if we can do it here. But my question, how many kids have opted out of state testing this year?
I don't have the precise number.
Janet
up or
is
down?
on, can we ask Janet?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's up or down from past years, because as we talk about trying to incentivize kids on the importance of testing, how are we working through Gear Up, whatever, to incentivize parents for kids to test, right? Because it's more than just kids in the classroom. It's that parent engagement to move them on and really show their academic rigor to the point that it is.
So thank you guys for asking. So in terms of state testing, we only have 5 across the district that have opted out. 3 from Mill Creek Academy because it is an online program, and we actually have 3 students who are participating who are not in the area, and there's no way for them to physically get to the school to test. If there was, they would have actually tested with Miss Bliss. And then we have 2 students and protecting student privacy. They are on IEPs, and it's part of their IEP. They do not test. So otherwise, every one of our other students are in the process of testing, and we should be wrapping that up this week. And I'll be making a schedule to catch any kiddo that might have not completed, or that just because of illnesses or not coming to school have not completed testing yet.
You know, roughly on average, how many kids have opted out in the past? I mean, are we talking? 10?
We've had years where almost entire grade levels opted out of testing. So last year, the state wants us to reach about 95% participation. Last year, we reached 96%, if I'm remembering correctly. And right now, minus anything that might happen around attendance, we are on track to reach the same goal for the state because of our 5-6 opt-outs.
It's just a huge shift.
Mhm.
Huge shift in accountability. That's a measure.
Part of our goal should be what happens next, right? Because the kids are a product of society. How do we make good products? Society. Appreciate the question and comments and stuff on this. Special project director report.
Okay, I'm gonna shift gears entirely for us and move on in topics. I have we have 3 projects going on right now. The wrapping up May. That I've been coordinating and getting. One of them being the carnival, which is nice, and we've talked about how that's grown to include more community partners. I was really tickled when the nursing program that does home visits for your moms. So, and the other one that I have going is I had figured out if you want people to come, you tag on to something that's already successful here. So the carnival is after the dog pot. So we had some EIS money, it's state money, that is designed to teach parents about systems level things out of school. So it'll be another boring Regina presentation. And it worked really well at Math Night with the Title I to serve people food, and they had to sit there and had that chance to. So we're gonna do that again after the awards ceremony next week. We're gonna have a parent luncheon. Parents, and there'll be a short presentation during the meal. And then we're setting up booths so that people like Stephanie can talk about college and career. And Janet can talk about how to read your OSAS scores. And Greg can talk about her classroom management system. And all those pieces that parents don't have the opportunity to hear about. And we're incentivizing it with a raffle. So that is there. I just want to mention that. And then the big one that's happening, and we waited to tell people because it's a drill. It's part of the tomorrow's when the deputy was available. We're doing it at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Right now, the way our emergency notification system is set up, the board is included even with a drill. because of all of the change right now, only Josh and Ray are in there. And for the purposes of tomorrow, not going forward from there, I wanted to offer each of you the chance to either be included or to say, oh my gosh, I have the most important meeting of my life tomorrow, and like, because the phone will go off and you can't stop the alert. So if you want to say not this time, and I'll add you after tomorrow, happy to do that. Does that work better for you, or would you like to see how the system works? And okay, so I will, tonight, I will sit here while we're working, and I will send out emails to you. You'll get it, and follow through, download the app on your phone, and you can see how our system works. Do you want it?
I do, no, I do appreciate the heads up, so there's not a total freak
Right,
out tomorrow.
exactly.
What is going on?
Right.
So,
And we are gonna do a robocall to all families in the morning. We made the decision together that waiting until the morning was the best bet. And Ray, do you want to be included in the alarm tomorrow?
I've got a meeting with my cardiologist tomorrow.
I will
Take
right
the
now.
stress test.
I'm gonna take you temporarily off the list because it's the only way I can do it. And then I'll add you.
Okay,
Does that
all
work?
right. That'll work.
And I don't want to forget, so I'm gonna.
What time tomorrow?
2 p.m.
Oh, I have a doctor's appointment at 2 p.m. So I
Okay.
probably should not be at the alarm.
I respect that.
How do I know what's going on? I'll be fine.
But the two of you would like to receive that email. And if something doesn't come together with installing it on your phone, it's not the end of the world, and I'm happy to work with you and we'll get it on. We made the decision that the board should know when something is going on, not because we wanted you to rush to the campus, but because you're gonna get something. And knowing what it is going on is helpful. That in it, there is a chat feature where information is being shared. Same like any other school information, privacy needs to be respected, but it's in the loop in case you ask.
Is it the EM3 app?
Yeah.
That one, okay.
E3.
E3.
Yes, and so Ray and Natalie don't rush,
Yeah,
Ray
don't.
take out, okay. And everyone else would like to be. Okay. That open so I don't forget. Oh, and then my only other thing was the attendance report, which I'm gonna kick us off for, and then again, like, it worked really well for us last month, to have Janet. Can you share? I can do it. It's good news. It was really, Day told me ahead of time how things went in Roseburg, and that Prospect was name dropped and our team was name dropped as real positive change. Which feels
For
really
the whole region,
feels pretty amazing.
3 counties.
It confuses me because I don't think we're doing anything that any other school shouldn't be doing, right? But I am proud of the work that the attendance team has done.
If you want to come over here.
Perfect, I will do that. Ray, can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. Okay, we're gonna jump in and do that. Oh, and then we have to make this move so you guys can see everything. What's that? Okay. This is where we're at, so you can see the regular attenders we talked last month. That's the part that the ODE pays attention to. So we can show growth in a lot of places, even if this piece isn't there. The good news is we're still above where we were last year with this tiny little dip from last month. That tiny little dip happened because senior cut day happened. It is what it is, but we're still ahead of the game despite.
Can you define what chronically absent means?
Absolutely. If they miss more than, well, in order to be a regular attender, you have to be here 90.1%, to be above 90%. Chronically absent falls into below 80%, I believe, and anytime Janet needs to jump in and correct me, let me know. So if your student attends less than 80% of the school year, up to that date, they're considered severely chronically absent. And if you think about our shortened week, it does not take much to fall into the 80%. So, any questions so far? Again, that giant red number there, that because that's high school, that is what happened in April with senior camping. Janet, you know, I'm historically, I haven't been here just to know that process, you know, it's not uncommon in our culture to have it happen. Janet said it's something kind of new for you guys, so the adults are looking for ways to discourage it. It's not uncommon around the country. Just like last month, we're looking at comparisons for grade level and the cohort. Everything's color coded again. There's, in some ways, there's not a lot new, right? We can see that high school continues to be where we keep our focus. Anything here you want to add, Janet?
So with this particular one, I've started doing a comparison from this school year to last school year, and that's what this is. So this is a direct comparison from this school year, from beginning of the year to last Friday, or excuse me, last Thursday, to last school year, the exact same time frame. It's slightly off by about 3 school days because last year we had that week where we closed because of excessive snow, but it's the exact same calendar time frame. So what I'm seeing, and what if you look at the top one where it says 205 students, where we have 117 regular attenders. So that is a 6.1% increase with a 57.07% over last year's numbers. So compared to this time last year, we are 6% higher as an entire district. And looking at enrollment numbers, we are only 1 student off compared to where we were. So last year at this time, we had 206 students. This year we have 205. So we're seeing growth. And even with the interesting things happening at the high school, if you look at the bottom one, our high school is 6% higher this year than it was this time last year. And our elementary is almost 10% higher this year compared to last year at this point in time. Middle school dip, I'm not entirely sure why that happened, because we're seeing growth in all the grade levels. So I'm kind of curious about that. But overall as a school, we are increasing our attendance every year. And if we look at our direct comparison to grade levels, we're seeing increases. If we compare the cohorts, we're seeing increases until we get to the high school levels, especially sophomores, juniors, seniors. And as an attendance team, this is something we've been talking about, and this is something that Greg has brought up with a lot of the different programs that we want to put in place for next year to make sure that we are helping the kids see the value in education. So that's a conversation you guys have already actually had about how we're going to make sure we're supporting students, that we're offering things that are going to engage them, that we're offering things that are going to be rigorous and prepare them. And that's kind of why we see those dips. And the next slide, you can see a direct side-by-side comparison, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we are seeing a direct increase this year compared to last year.
So we're still on target to have some good numbers by the end. Questions?
I think it's awesome. I appreciate the data.
And that's it for us. Stop sharing. Okay. And then, yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. Other than that,
Nice, thank you. Any questions? Yeah, your financial report is here.
Financial was in the packet, nothing significant. We all spent an hour last week with budgets, so I think everybody's pretty much on top of where we're at. We have one more state school fund payment, and that will bring us to our 100% of revenues for the year. In June, our large expenditures, everything's on track with what we forecast getting fund balance to be. And other than that, after the budget, I'm finishing up the financial summary and all of the budget hearing notices that will go out in the independent and on the website towards the end of the month.
And we'll have that budget meeting at our June meeting. With budget,
Before
final
the
budget
June.
approval.
Yeah, the hearing will be held in adoption before the regular meeting.
And that'll be before a regular meeting, or is it an agenda item of the regular meeting?
You can make it, you can start the meeting.
Any questions? Okay. No. Then moving on to informational personnel report. Mr. Spell.
You can see in the personal action report that's in the board packet. There's a couple of folks that are not on there that, but we did get Fawn on there. Fawn has accepted a new position as the manager of the planning program in Butte Falls. So, I mean, we're excited for her, but it's, sad. She's done a good job being our Garrett coordinator. And Marcy, we have a resignation as assistant boys basketball position. And that's middle school. And then we hired Kevin, high school football hire, which is the head coach. And then we also, that's not on this, that we hired after we posted this, is high school volleyball assistant, your very own Mr. Wetzel is going to be fulfilling that. And there were 2 terminations this month, and they're in your packet.
Questions? 5.6 comprehensive plan.
5.6, we were, because we missed one in April, we were gonna double up in May. The earlier May date didn't work for people, so May 19th, we're putting all of our eggs in one basket. And so we're gonna double up on the last 2 pieces of the comprehensive plan. It's May 19th. So that'll probably be a 2-hour meeting instead of an hour meeting.
Next week's gonna be a busy week.
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
What time is that one?
It's at 4 o'clock, yeah.
It already in the calendar.
Find Clay and put him in.
I believe it is.
Yes, it is.
Awesome.
Oh, boy. Anything else on that?
Just keep swimming, right?
Yeah.
And 5.7 trio presentation, it's Perkins.
Hey, I thought you'd never get to me. Okay, what do I need to do here, Jess? Share my
You
presentation.
could just be able to click share and then it'll ask for the tabs. Right here, and then yours is in the, oh, maybe it's this.
No, I'm like not helpful at all either, because I do not
So,
know.
it's because
That's just her.
escaped.
Yeah.
It's because we need this to go.
Next week.
Exit the screen. There we go.
Yeah, now you can go to your email and pull mine up.
Yeah, it's like, you just. Yours is right here. So I don't need you to tell me how to run it.
Okay, so you may or may not know that for people in positions like mine that are grant funded, working in education, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. So, you know, it's budget season and I thought I'd just come and share with you about what I'm doing here so you feel really good about keeping me in your budget. So, I think the last time I came was when we first started this position, so you haven't really heard an update or progress on my work. I am Road Community College Trio. I work for Road Community College, Project Youth Plus, partners with Road Community College, all as does Prospect School District, all to fund my position. So everybody's got a little bit in the game. Oh, I went too far. How do I go back? Oh, great. There we go. This isn't an important slide anyways, but so just to let you know, I've been doing this position for 3 years now. Before this, I was in Jess's position kind of as admin assistant. So 9 years total here working in education at the school. I worked with adults when I was in Jess's position, and I found that I much prefer working with the students. So I don't know if that's any surprise for anyone, but that's about me.
That worked out okay.
It has worked out okay. It was actually a suggestion from Mr. Stone. He's like, I'm not sure you're loving this. There's another position open.
Steph, he's really good at problem solving.
Problem solver. So my core responsibilities in my position, and these weren't assigned to me, these are responsibilities I've identified. I think number one, it's building relationships with students because the students don't want to work with me if we're not friendly or if they don't trust me. And so I spend a lot of time doing that. Then college and career exploration with an emphasis on college because RCC Trio is a college going program. I get some of the career stuff in through Project Youth Plus. Doing middle school and high school advising, right? Because they need to be successful here to be successful later, as we discussed earlier. Career readiness, things like certifications, for example, post-secondary transition support, which this is post-secondary transition season. That's what I've been doing. So we're applying to RCC, we're doing scholarships, we're doing FAFSA, like very busy time of year for that right now, especially our students or people in general tend to be procrastinators. So it's like, it's time to do that. It's now or never for it's now. It's not never. And then collaboration with staff, with community. Those are my core responsibilities. To build the relationships with the students, I try to offer activities here in the Student Success Center because we can't always go and do fun things because of budget, because of transportation. That's been a huge barrier this year. So I like to offer some workshops here. Lots of times it's lunchroom activities. Those are usually a little more popular with the middle schoolers because they're stuck on campus anyways, right? They might as well go to the Student Success Center. And one of the middle schoolers' favorite games is I have a Jenga game. And the Jenga pieces are numbered and it corresponds to a list of questions. So they pull out a number and they got number 1 and the question might be, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or something like that. And there's a whole list of questions and they really like doing that. Even though they're the same, I need some new questions. I'm working on getting new material, but that is something they like coming in and doing. Or I have a student who likes to come in and do paper chains during lunch, and so we visit, and then another one who does Legos, and so I spend time with them doing that. The middle schoolers especially like the getting to know you questions, but the high schoolers like that too, right? Just what did you do over the weekend? What do you have planned for next weekend? What do you guys eat on Christmas? I don't know, whatever the questions are, like just questions like that. And then PY Plus gives me a rapport building budget. So I can do things like buy lunch for a student or, celebrate students. I use my rapport budget a lot for Dutch Brothers when we're out and about because the grant doesn't fund that. And the kids, that's what they want to do. Like lots of times I can get them to go on a field trip if I promise Dutch. So I'm like, okay, let's go. Yeah, it does. It works. So as far as advising go, I try to meet with every single student every single year, just on a one-on-one. I have a worksheet that I use. It's different for the middle schoolers than it is for the high schoolers, but just getting to know them, where their mind kind of is as far as college and career, like what they're leaning towards. Sometimes they have no idea. And so it's more like, well, what do you like to do in your spare time? Just trying to get to know them so I can start thinking and get them thinking about careers that maybe tie into their interests, things that they like to do. Academic achievement is really important. Letting them know that it matters when you're in middle school if you're trying your hardest because you're making good habits for yourself that will continue to high school, that then you can take on to college. Like it's important to get good grades. And when you're in high school, it's really important to be getting good grades. You got to be getting all A's and B's to get some of these top dollar scholarships to go to college. So if you screw up your freshman year, it's hard to come back from just because you weren't ready your freshman year. And then getting them to participate in activities, whether it's the workshops here or to sign up for field trips. Some of the things I do for career exploration, interest assessments, and there's tools for that. RCC has a tool for that. like aptitude type testing things, see what their interests are, offering job shadows, industry tours. Job shadows are usually one-on-one. I have a good relationship with a lady at Providence Hospital, so a lot of my students who are going into medical have had the opportunity to do job shadows. Industry tours are usually more field trip groups of students. With career fairs, the fair we do here, the fair we went to at the Jackson County Expo, Careers and Gears. Guest speakers when we can. I like the idea of having alumni come and tell their story, although the alumni, they're really busy, especially the young 20-somethings. So we didn't have any of those this year, but research and development myself, right? I spend time on my computer researching different pathways and what students need to do to achieve them. Resume building, I like nothing more than working on a resume. It's probably my very favorite thing to do is dork out on a resume. So I love resume building. I'm always working on mine, and I love doing it with the students. And then credentialing, I don't know if I go on to talk about this in a future slide, but this year we have a student working towards her medical assisting certificate. She also happens to be my daughter, but she is doing that. And then we have, I have another student who's alumni, but I still work with I actually have a handful of students who are alumni that I work pretty closely with still because of the relationship building. They're the person I contact when they have questions. And so this particular student got her CNA over Christmas break while she was on break from college, which was awesome. So she spent her whole college break doing CNA. And then I have a junior here who just enrolled in CNA and is doing it over the summer, which is really exciting. Then of course, college exploration. This year we went to SWAC, we went to Pacific Bible College, we went to SOU, RCC. So we have quite a few college campuses this year. And then the application admission support. And I'm not going to lie, you guys, filling out college applications and getting a schedule put together and doing all the financial aid stuff, it's not easy. Like there's a lot of job security here because the average person cannot get through these systems if you don't know them. Like it's complicated. And then scholarships, of course, there's like an endless amount. We could always work on scholarships. We could work on that endlessly. It's getting buy-in from the students who want to do it. I collaborate here with school staff, families, other colleges, local businesses, and community organizations has kind of been one of my big things I've been trying to do this year. I've attended a couple Lions Club meetings and really trying to see, a lot of times even the community organizations don't know what we're doing here at school, and then connecting them with the students. The Lions in particular, they give a scholarship, and so they would like to have relationships with those students. So kind of relationship students and bridging the gap between students and the organizations also. So for me, we can talk about numbers like how many students completed financial aid or how many students go on to post-secondary education. But for me, in my position, it's always about individual student outcomes. Like my success stories have names, right? So I have 6 students who have, this is my proudest thing, which I don't know that I can really claim it as my thing, right? Because it's something Project Youth Plus offers, but they have an education IDA. It's designed for low income students. So you have to meet a certain income threshold. But you apply, and if you get accepted into the program, which if you meet the income thresholds, and there's a few things you have to do, you have to take a financial literacy class. You get accepted into the education IDA program, and that student saves $2,000, however they can save it. They borrow still, wherever they can get $2,000 and put it into this bank account that they share with Project Youth Plus, and Project Youth Plus matches it times 5. So then Project Youth Plus puts $10,000 for their $2,000. And so they end up with $12,000 total. And so I have 6 students who have done that. I get limited slots, right? So this year I had 2 slots available. And so it's huge. It's a life changer. Like it ends up being $12,000. Working on scholarships last year, the class of 2025, had well over $25,000 in scholarships awarded to them. That was between all of the students, but it was basically on a group of like 5 or 6 students. The local scholarship, which I guess I'm the head of that committee, raised $7,500 that we awarded students, which was awesome. The community organizations awarded 3,800. PY Plus did 3,500, and then there was another $10,000 in outside scholarships, and that doesn't even include the IDA money. So it was a lot of money for these students. It was really awesome. Some of my students' success stories: the student at OSU in nutrition. One of our class of 2026 is headed there for engineering. Right now I have a nursing student at SWAC. And then you can just see, we've done RCC business, RCC auto mechanic. One of our class of 2026 is headed to RCC to study dental hygiene, which is exciting. That's a new program there. I have a student heading to Arizona State University. So, and then I have another student who completed, people always want to know about trade school. And so I have one student who attended Blue Steel Trade School, and she actually was on part of the education IDA. So her $12,000 through her IDA paid for 100% of her tuition. And she went there and she graduated, and she is a working tattoo artist now. And probably a lot of the kids here at school have tattoos from her.
They do. Every day there's a new tattoo that shows up every once in a while.
And the client buildings.
Thank you for that, I guess, ultimately. Like I said, we've done quite a few Providence job shadows, but I've also arranged internships for students at Erickson, a job shadow at Croman, Klaus Drilling. Stewards hosted an apprentice at one point in time through the Project Youth Plus. And Prospect School has had a PY Plus intern as well. Like I spoke to before, we've done CNA, phlebotomy, anime, credentialing, and then I've worked with 2 students this year specifically to get on with the Forest Service here in Prospect. And another talk about complicated systems, also not an easy system. This is through USA Jobs, and it was hard. Like there were times I wanted to give up. I'm like, it's too hard to get these jobs, you guys. Let's just do something else. But it wasn't easy. Like, yeah, they'd come to me and they'd have a text message and be like, you don't turn this in 24 hours, we're withdrawing your application. And I'm like, okay, can I see the 10 emails that you got before this? Because, they're not coming to me until they're like, I don't know what's going on here. So that's some of the work I've done. My future goals are to increase student engagement. So a lot of, like I said, individual student outcomes. A lot of that work I'm talking about is with a small group of students. I would like it to be a bigger group of students. It's getting buy-in from the students and motivation to do the things, right? And a lot of our kids are struggling to have their needs met at home. So it's hard for them to come to school and do these extra things. And that's just reality. But increasing student achievement will help. Empowering students, I find that a lot of our students don't have a lot of confidence, or they don't like to advocate for themselves. And there's a difference between advocating for yourself and being a jerk, right? And learning what the difference is. But advocating for themselves, and then strengthening some of my partnerships and continuing my professional growth. I'm constantly learning about new opportunities for students. New scholarships are sent my way. New pathways are offered at colleges. So it's just a job where I'm a learner too. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Can I just give first of all, I just want to give props to Stephanie and our whole Student Success Center in here, but specifically to Stephanie, the effort that she has made within Trio and RCC and Project Youth Plus, whether you're talking Carl Thomas or Ginger Lathan or Holly at RCC, they just rave about you, that they would love to clone you and put you in other schools. And so I think it's important to just recognize we have an educated leader that's leading kids down this path. I can't imagine us not having you and what we're doing in this room with the help of Janet and with Fawn and Gear Up, because there's so many great things that are happening with, I mean, 4 years ago, we didn't have any of this stuff. And so there was really a huge hole, that we weren't, of students, a group of students we weren't serving. And we're doing that because of your commitment and to stay in Prospect and to be part of this. So I just want to give you props. Thank you for your hard work.
It's awesome.
So
I concur. I've been at 2 other high schools with these programs and I haven't met anybody with the amount of passion and authenticity and energy that Stephanie has.
I think there's a certain intimacy here too, working with such a small population. Like I am invested in these kids, you know, I love them. I want them to be successful. So
moving to work with kids was good.
it was good. Yeah, I know. I never would have thought. Although there are days where
Yeah, sure. Most of those days are when you're dealing with admin.
this is a rough time of year to be working in a school, right? The kids are crazy right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for presenting. That was awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to 6.1, the wrestling facilities.
Yeah, so the plans, the architect from Vitus that drew the plans. Last month I reported on this. It was with Corey. He went down, Corey Vitus went to the planning department. Planning department said there's a problem. There needs to be an engineer stamp on the plans that the architect wrote for the second story. So he took those plans, gave them to Steven. Steven called me actually on one day last week. He said he has a guy working on them. And it sounds like they're going to have to put a beam inside to help support the ceiling joists in there, but it's not anything that doesn't seem like it's not doable. As soon as he has his engineer put together and add on to the architect, he will hand deliver the plans to the county, and the permit costs have already been covered by Vitus. Corey covered that for us, and so as soon as everything is designed, he's going to submit it. He said he'd let me know when it was ready. He thought it'd be a couple weeks. So,
Is there any cost for the engineering work?
there may be, but it will be deferred because they know that we're fundraising for this. So it will be minimal. Steven knows that we're trying to get this done for $0. So he's throwing us a bone. It helps to have relationships and partnerships with firms that have done lots of projects with us. So
cool.
I like it that I have Steven's cell phone number. I can just call him anytime and say, hey, I need this, and they they're willing to do that. I mean, I have a project going on in Canyonville right now, and on Sunday, Corey Vitus drove to Canyonville from Gold Hill and met me on that project, a Day Street project that I'm starting to work on.
So you have that project in July.
What's that?
You have that project in July.
Yeah, but it was on Sunday that I met with him.
That's awesome. Any questions on wrestling? Okay, 6.2 type 20 buses.
We have one that has been fixed. The other one has they're still waiting on some parts. Last I heard, I called and left a message for Michael yesterday, and he actually, I haven't heard back from him. I'll follow up tomorrow on it. But we're looking at probably these being out by the time we get them approved by ODE. They're probably they'll be ready for the fall, but we're not going to be using them this summer. Doesn't sound like. So we got a type 20 for the senior trip that we're ordering from First Student, and for the trip that's going to Idaho, and so we'll have alternative means to get kids where they need to go to finish the year. But
since they're holding on to our 2 buses, do we get a good deal out of this?
They gave us a smoking deal on that. Actually, they're charging us $1 a mile.
Yeah.
To use their bus. That's crazy, and it's a brand new bus. So
what are the issues that they're
Let's take it.
So the buzzer that runs that's connected to the back door, that's connected to the system of the van, they had to order that, and it's been on back order, and it hasn't come in yet. So that's the only thing that's holding the other bus up. But the other one is done. We have it here, and somebody decided over the weekend they were going to siphon gas out of it, and so again, security issues around here. We're going to have to change some things that we're doing as far as locking things up. So
Maybe you guys could order just the doors on the fuel doors that have the key.
well, then they cut it in the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Which
that's.
they've cut it in the bottom. They just need to be in the bus barn locked up. And I mean there's just no bones about it. We just can't leave them out. So
Which is a good segue into 6.3 building consideration.
oh geez. Okay, well building considerations, we left it on the docket. We know that we have facility use, or we have a grant that is paying for ZCS is going to do the assessment in the end of June. They're going to expedite that, so hopefully by July we'll have some information on the truss system, the wood truss system of our bus barn. So the board can make a decision in July on which direction we're going to go. When I talked to Josh about it, he just said, hey, leave it in case there's new business, just leave it on the agenda. So we did. And there isn't any new business or new information from last month. So we are working towards contractors that are going to take care of those assessments. And the long range planning and the asbestos one is probably going to be somebody different than ZCS, but the other two ZCS is going to handle. So that's why Steven is probably more apt to help us with the wrestling facilities.
You see long-term potential growth, right?
Yeah.
Any questions on that? And we'll move on to 7.1 superintendent finalist. So the board received 2 internal applicants, Brian and Jordan. Thank you both for applying. With that, I think we are looking for a motion to advance both candidates to interviews on May 20th. Time and location be determined prior to that time.
I motion we advance them both to interviews.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any questions or debates? This time we'll start with Mr. Ray.
Yes.
I am also voting yes. Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Rose,
Yes.
and Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Congratulations. I'll send an email out to you guys shortly. So 7.2 social studies curriculum, Mr. Stone.
We're looking at well, first of all, I'll probably turn this over to Greg to talk a little bit about it, but McGraw Hill is what our staff and administration has chosen. It's been on display for several weeks.
Hill's right here. Interesting.
And I would tell you that Greg, even though he probably wouldn't say something about this, but when we first started to having the conversation, the price index, the pricing point of this curriculum was crazy, skyrocketing high. And
somebody left this last meeting.
okay, you said there, thank you. And so he whittled and whittled and whittled and whittled, and he spent a lot of time with textbook outfit trying to figure out how they could whittle. By the time it was all said and done, he shamed the publisher into giving us all of the teacher editions for every grade level free. So I think we budgeted like 26,000 for social studies curriculum. And I don't know how much was there in those teachers editions approximately that we got.
In the teacher's edition, it was close to $8,000 just for the single teacher's editions for each course.
Yeah. So that was from working every angle he could to try to cut costs and so my recommendation would be to adopt it.
I did the walkthrough and the digital walkthrough. It's pretty cool. I like the dashboards and some of the teacher tools are pretty awesome. So,
Yeah, and that's for 7 years of licenses for that.
that's cool. And so we need a motion to accept the
Um,
administrative recommendation.
Real quick question. So what are we, I guess before we buy this, but what is the, what do we say? So like current curriculum, what is it not doing that this is going to do? Are we just improving? Are we just repurchasing? Are we
We're adopting, there really isn't a set curriculum goal.
for social studies?
For
or is it
social
set
studies,
curriculum at all?
that's.
They pick their own.
Combined and well organized, it was kind of their own, and we've had turnover and super old books. And now that we have all new teachers that are working in social studies, when the caravan came around, the adoption cycle came around, we were able to get them something that they can use for everything, for planning, for learning, even at the adult level of learning. So it's a new, hopeful, awesome thing, in my opinion.
And it's gonna be consistent for 7 years in this program, so then middle schoolers will use it all through high school, so the current sixth grade. And then they'll just have it all, the McGraw curriculum all the way through.
For the current
I like the
sixth graders.
consistency, yeah, the incoming sixth
Yeah,
graders,
the
yeah,
current
that's what I'm saying.
The cool thing too about social studies curriculum that really helps in the secondary setting when you have thematic, vertically aligned, horizontally aligned curriculum, is there's a lot of cross-curricular activities that involve writing and reading and literacy development. And so when you're developing your own curriculum, it creates holes, quite frankly, and consistency. And this should close some of those loopholes. And it also gives social studies teachers a chance to do some cross-curricular work with the LA and other subject matters as well, because there are lots of subjects that are thematic that will fit other areas at every grade level.
Any other questions?
I move that we approve 7.2 social studies curriculum.
Motions are second.
Second.
Motion second. Any other questions or debates? At this point, I will start with myself. Yes. Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes, yes. Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
Favorite part of the evening, policies.
Really.
This is gonna be really fast.
Such review.
Yeah, it's quick first reading. Most of these we've already
I know.
done, so these are gonna go through really fast, but on CBG. Currently, we have at least once a year, so that policy, if we include that, reads almost exactly what we have, except for the new addition gray line on the third paragraph. Moving on to EDV, integrated test management. We pretty much have, so the only real choice we have is on page 2.3. And we have the superintendent as the inserted position title to the superintendent or designee. Everything else is just additional language that we have to add due to their changes. GBA is almost exactly what we have here, except we do not have the very last line of that, where it says intended or unintended on the basis of race, religion, national origin, sex, marital status, physical and mental disabilities. We do not have that line in our current policy, but everything else reads almost exactly like that. So I would assume we're just going to keep our current policy with that addition or without that final addition.
Yeah.
And then what's that? Yes, we'll adopt their version of GBA. I'll just strike that final bracket on the end of page 1 2. And then JBA. This is so our current policy follows all of this, except for the addition they have on page 2. 3 has examples of sexual harassment, including not limiting to physical touch, graffiti. We have that in ours right now. But on page 5.8, as additionally, notice must be provided. I think we just have to insert that paragraph into our current policy and everything else reads the same. And then in July, we'll have to update this policy again anyway when we have a change. And that will be reflected this, and then we have to add the footnotes. Under legal references, those footnotes aren't in our current policy. And it'll be that exact same thing for JVA, TBN. For the student aspect of it on page 6-9. We have to insert that paragraph and then the footnotes into our current policy. That's it. Thoughts or concerns? Then upcoming dates, we have Val Sal luncheon tomorrow. They have a banquet on the 15th. High school track is going to Gilchrist on May 16th. Comprehensive plan meeting on the 19th. Senior trip May 22nd through 24th. No school Memorial Day on May 25th. 8th grade outdoor school or 6th grade outdoor school on May 26th to the 29th. We're going to Newport. And our next board meeting is on June 9th, but we will be meeting on May 20th.
Also, I forgot, but the May 22nd is district track for the high schoolers.
Okay. And then before our next meeting, we will also be meeting on June 5th. Superintendent selection.
What time?
We don't have a time, I'm assuming it'll be one. I'm sorry. So, we can finalize that on the 25th. Any questions, anything else? Then at 8 PM on the head, we will adjourn the meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Take care, bud.
I'll try. You too.
Thanks, Steph. Appreciate it.